Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking the rather formal, kind of dry language of the ISO 9000 standard and flipping it into a dynamic, actionable survival guide for modern businesses. If you've ever felt like quality management is just about checking boxes, well, get ready to shift your perspective. We're going to dive deep into the 7 principles of quality and see how they actually act as a vital framework for organizational success. We're pulling our insights straight from the source, the authoritative ISO 9000 text on fundamentals and vocabulary. We want to demystify this document to show you how a quality management system, or QMS, is way more than just bureaucratic red tape. It's actually a strategic engine for your entire organization. So let's ground ourselves in reality for a second. To truly understand the value of these 7 principles, we have to ask, how exactly does an organization survive accelerated change? How do you thrive when the business landscape is literally shifting under our feet? The ISO text actually hits the nail on the head here. It explicitly recognizes we live in a world of accelerated change, globalization of markets, and the emergence of knowledge as a principal resource. That context is absolutely crucial. It highlights exactly why mastering the 7 principles of quality is a dynamic survival mechanism today. Quality isn't just about minimizing defects anymore, right? It's about navigating this wild new reality. Here is our exact blueprint for today. 1. Surviving accelerated change. 2. The customer is core. 3. Leading and engaging people. 4. Processes, evidence, and improvement. 5. Managing key relationships. And 6. Building a dynamic system. All right, Section 1. Surviving accelerated change. Let's get right into it. Before we hit the principles themselves, we need to know what we're building. What is a QMS? Well, a quality management system comprises the activities where your organization identifies its objectives and then figures out the processes and resources needed to hit those results. Think of it as your company's core operating system. It's the engine that lets leadership optimize resources while anticipating both intended and unintended consequences. Moving on to Section 2, the customer is core. This brings us to Principle 1, and it's a big one. The primary focus of quality management is to meet customer requirements and strive to exceed their expectations. The standard tells us sustained success only happens when you attract and retain the confidence of your customers. It's all about treating every single interaction as a golden opportunity to create value. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so what's in it for us? Well, when you systematically exceed expectations, the business benefits cascade. You drive increased customer value, which leads directly to customer loyalty and repeat business. Ultimately, this expands your customer base and bumps up your revenue and market share. The standard makes it undeniably clear. This principle directly impacts your bottom line. Next up, Section 3, leading and engaging people. Quality doesn't just happen by magic. It happens through people. That's Principles 2 and 3, leadership and engagement of people. It's a necessary balance, kind of like rowing a boat. Leaders at all levels must establish unity of purpose. They set the compass and do the steering. But simultaneously, you have to empower the competent people at all levels who are actually rowing the boat and delivering that value. You just can't have an effective system without both. So how do we put this into action? You've got to build a culture of genuine trust. Communicate your strategy clearly so everyone knows the game plan. And this is crucial. Empower your folks to take initiative without fear of punishment. When people can self-evaluate and truly own their work, your organization's capability to create value just skyrockets. Section 4, processes, evidence, and improvement. This section is the operational engine of the ISO standard, covering Principles 4, 5, and 6. Principle 4 is the process approach. To get predictable results, Step 1 is understanding your activities as interrelated processes. Step 2 is managing them as a coherent system. The days of looking at isolated tasks or siloed departments, yeah, those are completely over. That's how you achieve Step 3, consistent results. Building on that is Principle 5, improvement. You simply cannot stand still. Successful organizations have an ongoing, relentless focus on improvement. And it's not just about treating symptoms. This standard emphasizes digging into root cause investigations. It's the organizational equivalent of curing the actual disease instead of just popping a daily painkiller. Then we have Principle 6, evidence-based decision-making. It's gut feeling versus data-driven analysis. Look, decision-making is complex, and there's always going to be some uncertainty, but this principle urges us to stop guessing.
Relying on facts, evidence, and rigorous data analysis leads to way more objectivity and helps you avoid subjective pitfalls. Let the facts guide your strategy.
All right, Section 5, Managing Key Relationships. This leads us to our seventh and final quality principle, relationship management. Because, let's face it, your organization doesn't operate in a vacuum. For sustained success, you have to manage relationships with all relevant interested parties, especially your providers. This extends outside your walls to target your supplier and partner networks. The most actionable takeaway here: determine who these key parties are, and then balance short-term gains with long-term considerations. Don't just squeeze your suppliers for a quick buck today. Actively share information, share expertise, and build collaborative development. When your partners succeed, your entire quality system is strengthened from the outside in. Finally, Section 6, Building a Dynamic System. Let's see how this all comes together. The source material says something fascinating here. It frames a well-designed organization not as a rigid, unthinking machine, but as a living and learning social organism, just like humans. Both are adaptive, made up of interacting systems and processes. A successful organization breathes, it learns, and it fundamentally evolves based on its context. Because you can't predict every market shift or predetermine every single activity, your system has to be flexible. By applying these 7 principles of quality, from focusing on the customer all the way to managing relationships, you're literally building in the adaptability needed to innovate and achieve breakthrough improvements over time. Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative question. Keeping the 7 principles of quality in mind, is your organization built to adapt, or is it just built to exist? Are you actively designing a living, learning organism capable of thriving in a world of accelerated change, or are you just letting change happen to you? The ISO framework is there to guide you, so use these principles to take control. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.